This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Hi friends. So in this Azure Databricks master program, this is our sixth session. In this session, we are going to see creating and configuring cluster in Azure Databricks. Okay. So how to create a cluster in Azure Databricks, we are going to see. So fine. So in this particular session, we are going to see how to log in into Azure portal and how we can create Azure Databricks. So then once we have created Azure Databricks workspace, you are going to log in into the Azure Databricks workspace. It's a separate URL, right? So once you log in into it, you are going to see some options. What are those options? First thing is dashboard. So we are going to understand what is exactly this dashboard, what we can do by using this dashboard. Next, we have a home option. Next, we have something called workspace option, a recent option, data management, computational management, model management, job management, and search. So these are the things we will have basically. Okay. So most of these things are like dashboard where you will have everything, home, workspace, and recents. It will have a notebooks, data management, where you are going to maintain your source data, actual data, not a code. These three options for maintaining your code, data management for maintaining your source data or some configuration data. Okay. Computational management, it's basically for creating cluster, creating pools, and all those things. Model management, suppose if you want to create any model and you want to train any model, so all that particular things you can do it by using model management. If you want to create any jobs, by using job management, you are going to create jobs, and you can see all the jobs which are running, which has failed, which has succeeded, everything. Okay. So search is basically if you want to search for any folder or file, anything, you are going to use this particular search option. So we will deep dive into all these options once again. Next, you can see creating and configuring cluster in Azure Databricks. So once we create Azure Databricks, once we explore all these options, we will try to create the cluster in Azure Databricks today. So as you remember, so when we create a cluster in Azure Databricks in backend, it is going to start your virtual machine. If you have created a cluster with two worker nodes, one driver node, what are how many servers we are using here? Two worker nodes, one driver node means total how many servers, friends? Total we are using 3 servers. Okay, so when we are using 3 servers, it is going to launch 3 virtual machines in backend. Okay, remember. So all those things we are going to see. As we have discussed, the default storage, it is going to launch, blob storage it is going to deploy, and it is also going to deploy default virtual network, security groups, a network watcher, and many more things it is going to launch. All those things we will see. Okay, because when you create Azure Databricks, it is going to launch all those things. For example, what all things will come when you create Azure Databricks? The things which is going to create in backend is the blob storage for storing your metadata and all the data like DBFS, whatever data you are uploading in this data management tab, all the data will be stored in a blob storage. Next option is it is going to create a virtual network, security group, and network watcher. Okay, those are the things we'll create when you create a Azure Databricks. But when you create a cluster, so one virtual machine is going to create. If you have launched a cluster with one node, then one virtual machine will create in backend. If you launched a cluster with three node cluster, then it is going to launch 3 virtual machines in backend. All those things we can see today practically. Next, how to create Python notebook we will see. Okay, then we will see how to execute that Python code, how to create Scala notebook, how to create SQL notebook, how to create R notebooks. Okay, R notebook. These are the things that we are going to focus on today's session. So our first step is to how to log in into Azure portal and how to create Azure Databricks. Let me go to here. Okay, where I will go is, let me just go here. Let's go to portal.azure. So our first step is to log in into Azure account, then create Azure Databricks. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions from our previous session or in this particular session. So this is the mail ID we are going to use. Click on this. Pick an account. Let me enter password here. Click sign in. Click yes. Okay, so this is how you need to log in into Azure portal. So in our last session, we have seen how to log in and how we can launch our Databricks workspace. Today, we are going to see that once again. Okay, fine. So let me. Okay. Switch switch to another network. Friends, so I thought I have connected to better network, but I was still in a poor network. Okay, so now I switch to better network. Okay, you will not have any issue. Please let me know if you are facing same issue still. So Devendra, are you fine now? Devashish, Abhishek, can you confirm quickly, friends? Okay, right. Thank you. So we just logged in into Azure portal, right? Let me check here. Do we have any resources in my portal, in my account? Just click on all resources to see whether you have any resource in your account. See, you don't have any resource in your account. Step one. Step two is to go to resource groups and check, do you have any resource group? So you don't have any resource group. Now I want to create Azure Databricks. Okay, for that, there are different ways you can access Azure Databricks service. You can search here, Azure Databricks. Okay, you'll get that service here. Okay, otherwise, we already added this particular service to our favorite list. So from favorite list, you can pick this particular service. Click on this. If you use any option, you will come here. Once you come here, just click add to create Azure Databricks. So it's a free trial. Resource group is we don't have anything, so I want to create a new resource group. Click create new. So this should be something Cloud Pandit iPhone ADB iPhone RG. Okay, click OK. So my workspace name is, you can say, Cloud Pandit ADB, Cloud Pandit Azure Databricks. Okay, so I want to launch this particular Databricks in East2S. Okay, next you have standard premium. Premium means you can control better security. Okay, example, you want to control access to your notebooks, clusters, all those things. You will have more options with respect to security. Okay, a role-based access. Along with normal access, you will have a role-based access control if you go with premium. If you go with the standard normal, okay, you will not have a permissions. You cannot control any permissions for your notebooks and all those things. For today, let me go with the standard. In next session, we will see the difference between standard and premium. Okay, click networking. So we have one more option, that is free trial. Okay, just 14 days free trial and it's premium. Next, click networking. Here you can see you can launch this particular Databricks workspace in your own virtual network. If you have your own virtual network, you can select it. Otherwise, there will be a default virtual network it will create for you. If you have already available, you can select, okay, if you have any virtual network, but I have not created anything. So I'm requesting Azure to create a default network, virtual network. So it will create a default virtual network for us. Click tags. Here I want to give some tags example. You can say created by Okay, Cloud Pandit. Next, you can say something environment. Environment is dev environment, and the team is working with data engineers. Okay, so something tags you can give like this. Then finally you have to click on review plus create. Okay, so you can validate all these details here. Even uh, in backend, they are going to validate all our details. If everything is fine, then they will enable you to create this particular service. Okay, so I'm just clicking on create. Anybody have any questions till here? Okay, I'm just clicking on create the Databricks workspace. Click on create Databricks workspace. Yeah, if anybody have any question, please let me know. Okay, come back. Now you can go to all resources and see all the resources it is going to launch for us. Okay, it will take 2 to 3 minutes to create all the resources which are required for our Azure Databricks workspace. Okay. Any questions? Abhishek, Manohar, Devashish, Devendra,
Malay
Ned.
garu. So
Tell
in
me.
real time, like how we'll follow the naming convention? Like what are the tags we will provide? Like how we like what are the what name will we provide to Databricks? Like
Okay.
how we will follow
So,
the name?
okay, good question. What happens is tags they won't give. In real time tags I don't see. Okay, but it depends. Suppose you are writing some code. That code you need to identify particular resource. Example, you have 3 different Databricks workspace. You want to identify one Databricks workspace. How you will identify? By using unique tags. Maybe so in naming convention we are going to mention, but still if you want to specify, you want to identify some Databricks workspace uniquely from the code or something, then you need to mention a tag. That is the one thing. Now in real time, that's what, right? So mostly what we will do, we will use like we will simply read data from data lake or blob or SQL database, data warehouse, and process data, and we will write back the data to same storage or same databases. So now what happens is that those tags is not that much important, but in some cases tags are very important, because based on the tags you are going to identify what kind of resource it is. Okay, whether it's a dev resource, whether it is a QA resource, whether it is a production resource. So in real time, how we will have this Databricks naming convention. Okay, I will come back. Okay, I will just explain that. So yeah, let me explain that otherwise. Maybe what happens is they will put something like this. So your client name, okay, Cloud Pandit example. Okay, then they are going to tell. So maybe same Cloud Pandit is available in India, US, something like that, right? So this project is belongs to USA. Okay, next. So Azure Databricks. This is a Azure Databricks service, and it's a dev or what? Dev or QA or production. We have to say ADB for dev. Okay, so something like this, they are going to mention client name and in which, for which location. Next they are going to mention service name and this service for which environment. Okay, understood? So something
Yeah.
like this we will have in real time. Okay, Manohar. So now, so as we discussed the Azure Databricks architecture, in architecture we have discussed about this, right? So we will have a storage account, okay, for storing all our Databricks file system data and all metadata. Let's open this and check once again today what is there inside this particular storage. Let's click on containers. See, you have jobs, logs, meta, and root metadata and ephemeral. So all the information available in this blob storage. Come back. So network watcher, it's created. Network security groups, virtual networks. So these are the things it's created. Now you need to understand this is the resource group I have created, but automatically it will create two more resource groups. One is Databricks RG-Cloud Pandit, and one is Network Watcher RG. Okay, because these three services like storage account, network security group, virtual network will come under one category, and Network Watcher will come under second category. So that's why it is going to maintain all similar kind of services. Similar kind of services means to do particular job, whatever services is required or whatever services are dependent, all those things it will put it in a particular resource group. Okay, so when you launch this Azure Databricks Workspace, so data storage account, network security, virtual network, these are some category which is required for our Azure Databricks Workspace. Next one is Network Watcher. So total it's created a two resource group extra apart from whatever we have created. Okay, in those resource group it is just grouping the similar kind of resources. Okay, now I want to let me go to resource group, click on resource group. See, it's created three resource groups now. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is the one we have created. If you go inside this, here only you will be able to see only your workspace. But if you click on this, here you will see all the storage account, network security, virtual network, all these dependency services. So this is a network watcher which will okay, which is going to use for the network connections and all. Okay, now click on this particular first group. You will find a Databricks workspace. Click on this. Come down. You can see launch workspace. Okay, we need to click on launch workspace. Then it will try to log in. Okay, click on launch workspace. So you need to understand how it is going to log in into Databricks is by using Azure Active Directory. So automatically see, sign in using Azure Active Directory, single sign on, automatically it will sign on because we already logged in, right? So by using this particular mail ID. So with same mail ID, it will log in into your Databricks. Okay, we are here. So you can see cloudpandit@outlook.com. So same mail ID, it is here. Okay. Till here, everybody is clear. Okay. So now you can see your dashboard, home, workspace, recents, data, clusters, jobs, models, search. So these are the different options we have. So we will look into all these options. Okay, let me go to slides once again. Okay, let's see. First thing is dashboard. What is this dashboard? That is our first option. Dashboard is an interface that provides organized access to all Databricks assets. Example, you can see here. So in our home page, we'll have new notebook you can create. So these are the common tasks that you need to perform in Databricks, Azure Databricks. Not only Azure Databricks, it can be AWS Databricks or Databricks community. It will separate, like it will organize things, something like this. Common tasks are here. And if you want to export some notebooks, you can have a. If you click on this, they will give you some sample notebook where you can export Databricks notebooks. If you want to import some data, you want to upload some data, you can just click this option. Okay, you want to create a notebook for writing your code, you can create a blank notebook. Okay, so here it will display all the recently accessed notebooks. Recently accessed notebooks it show here. Okay, so this is the overview about your dashboard. This is the first option in our Databricks workspace. Next option, home. So home organizes objects such as notebooks, libraries, experiments into user folder. So what happens when you, example, I logged in with my mail ID, that is cloudpandit@outlook.com. So when you click on home, it will go inside cloudpandit@outlook.com folder. There will be a folder. Okay, there will be a folder structure. First you will have a users, under users will have a all the users root folder. In that users, it will display all the users, whoever is there. Example, root is users. In the users, I logged in. So my mail ID is what? cloudpandit@outlook.com. So under users, there will be a new folder creates. It creates with what? What is the name of subfolder? My subfolder name is exact my mail ID. cloudpundit@outlook.com. If you go inside, this particular mail ID, meaning if you go inside this subfolder, whatever notebooks, whatever things are available, those things it will display. Let me show you here. See, you will have a users. This is the root folder. Okay, in under that it will create a cloudpundit@outlook.com. This is another folder, kind of a user. Okay, so if you have multiple users, it will display all these users. Under user, you can see this is the notebook. This is the notebook. Trash is basically if you want to delete any notebook, okay, then you can move this particular notebook into trash. Then what trash will do? Trash will keep this notebook for 30 days. Whenever you want this notebook, you can go to trash folder, you can retain it back. If you are not taking this particular notebook within 30 days, after 30 days, meaning on 31st day, whatever data you have in trash, it will delete everything. Meaning, once you move a notebook into trash, that notebook will be available only 30 days. From 31st day onwards, you will not be able to see this notebook. It will be deleted. Okay, all those things we will see practically. So this home means it organizes notebooks, libraries, experiments into what? So under users, remember, under user folder, we are going to manage or organize notebooks, libraries, and experiments. Okay, next, let's go to workspace. See, same workspace organizes objects such as notebooks, libraries, and experiments into folders. It no need to be a cloudpundit@gmail or cloudpundit@outlook.com. It can be, see here, you have different folders. We have a user mail ID. Okay, this under this it can be there. Otherwise, it can be in a workspace level. See, under workspace we have a different like the shared folders. We have some other folders. We have users folder. Okay, all these things we have. So workspace means high level. Home means specific to user. In a workspace, you can have all users. If you go with home, home is basically whomever, whatever. Example, if X person is logged in, under X person home, whatever notebooks are available, those things it will display. But workspace means how many users we have. For all those users information, it will try to display. Okay, see, users, if you have multiple users, all that information it will show. Along with that users, it will show all the folders which are available directly under workspace. Users means here. See, you have to compare between these two. Under users, whatever notebooks we have, that will show by home. See, it's highlighted. Home is highlighted here. If you go here, see your workspace is highlighted. Why? Because under workspace, you will see all these folders, including all users. Okay, clear? These two are very important because these two will create a little bit confusion. Otherwise, everything will be very easy. Everybody is clear on these things? These two are clear or any doubts in this? Okay, then let me go to next one. Can we password protection?
So under this workspace, if there are 10 users, it will show all the 10 users, isn't it?
Yes,
And
yes.
I will have access to all the 10 users.
No, that you can control it. That you can control it. What folders it has to see, what folders you don't want to allow them to see. So those all things in a permission level. That we will come back. Today we are just going to see. So what is this workspace? All those things. Okay. Next, in upcoming sessions, how to control that access and all those things. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, let's go to recents. Recents basically it will help you to identify recently opened notebooks. Okay, recently opened notebooks can be found here. So example, let's say I have opened some Delta Lake or Lab 3 notebooks. So those those notebooks will be available in recent tab. Okay, this is dashboard, this is home, this is workspace. Now we are learning recents. Recents is basically it is going to display recently opened notebooks. Okay, because what happens mostly, you will move here and there. You want to find a recently open notebook quickly, then you can go to this tab to find out the recently open notebook. This is very frequently used tab. Okay, next, data management. See, this section describes the objects that hold data on which you perform analytics and feed into machine learning algorithms. So we have discussed about data management theoretically. Let me quickly take you through. So how you are saving data, how you are storing data in Databricks. So by using DBFS file system, okay, in terms of files, it can be any file. You just create a different folders and you can maintain all types of files. Next, you can create a database. Inside database, you can create tables and you can store the data. So example, you can see here. See, this is the data tab. Okay, in this data tab, you can see you have databases. I have created Cloud Pandit DB. So default, when you create a cluster, you will have a default database. But if you want to create your own database, you can create. That is Cloud Pandit DB. This is my database. Next, this database, under this database, you can see tables. Tables are courses. I have created a table called courses. So something like that, you can able to maintain all these things. Okay, you can have databases and you can have a tables. So if you click on add data, then you can able to upload files directly. You can upload files into DBFS file system. Okay, this is how you are going to maintain data in Azure Databricks. This is the tab, data tab. Okay, any questions till here? Everybody is fine. Abhishek, Manohar, Dabashish, Devendra, Nitin, Netra. Okay, thank you. So let's go to computational management. Here you can see clusters. We know there are two types of clusters we have. One is all-purpose cluster and job cluster. We discussed about all these things, but why I am repeating today, because all these things we are going to use today. Okay, next. So when we are going to use all-purpose cluster, first thing is we are going to create all-purpose cluster by using UI, CLI, or REST API. So in this week, I think Thursday and Friday, we are going to discuss how you can create these clusters, all those things from CLI. Okay, so but basically you can create clusters, all these things by using UI, CLI, and the REST API. You can manually terminate and restart an all-purpose cluster. Okay, this cluster you can terminate, you can restart, you can play with whatever you want to do. You can do it do with all-purpose cluster. Next, multiple users can share such clusters to do collaborative interactive analysis. Suppose you have developed your code and your friend has developed this code. So both of them are working in same project, then both of them want to execute their codes, respective codes, right? So both people can execute their code on same cluster. That is possible by using all purpose. Next, we have a job cluster. This cluster we are not going to create. Databricks job scheduler creates a job cluster, and when you run a job on new job cluster, okay, what happens? It terminates the cluster when the job is completed. Databricks job scheduler creates the job when it has to execute particular code, okay, as per the schedule. And once your job is finished, it will terminate. It will terminate this particular job cluster. And as it is going to terminate immediately once your job is executed, so that's why you cannot restart a job cluster. Next, pool. So we discussed, right? So pool is nothing but the instance pools API allows you to create, edit, delete, and list instance pools. What it means, this is a pool where you are going to maintain multiple idle instances. If you maintain multiple idle instances, what happens is when you want to create cluster quickly, you can get the instances immediately and you can start them. Otherwise, if you don't have people available, example, as we discussed previously, if company got project, so if they want to deliver that project, they need a resources. Okay, so if they go to a market and search for the people, it will take more time, right? So instead of that, if they already recruited the people and if they maintain in a bench, if they get project immediately, they can get the people from bench. Whoever is on bench, they can immediately grab them to work on this particular project. That's how you can efficiently deliver the project in expected timelines. So in the same way, when you want to create a cluster, right? So what you can do is, when you want to start cluster quickly, when you want to create cluster quickly, you need to maintain a multiple instances, multiple servers in this pool. You see, a set of ideal, ready to use instances that reduce cluster start and auto scaling times. When you want to like increase your cluster size, meaning you want as per the data load, maybe you are trying to process more data, you need more servers. Okay, auto scaling option, it will try to fetch more instances. Then what it will do is, it will try, if you have already instances available, it will try to take them immediately and it will try to use them for execution. If you don't have these servers available, it will go to instance provider. From there it will try to get it. So it will take more time if our cluster is going to get the servers from instance pool. Okay, instead of that, if we have all the instances in the pool itself, then our cluster will grab them quickly and it will process our data much more faster compared to maintaining clusters without pool. Okay, if you maintain clusters, so that is nothing but, if you're maintaining instances, that is nothing but servers in a pool, you can able to uh, execute the code quickly, because auto scaling, it will pick the servers quickly, and the cluster start time is very less because already we have clusters. It just need to start the clusters. Okay, next you can see, when attached to a pool, cluster allocates its driver worker nodes from the pool. It will try to take all the servers from the pool. If the pool does not have sufficient idle resources to accommodate the cluster's request, example, cluster is requesting for 10, pool has only 8, 2 more it needs. So pool expands by allocating new instances from the instance provider. It will go to instance provider and it will try to get the servers into the pool. Okay, so from the pool, our cluster will pick the services. Those things we will see. When an attached cluster is terminated, if the example, you have taken all servers from the pool into cluster, now you have terminated cluster. What happens? All these servers, where they will go? All these servers will go back to the pool. Okay, you can see the instance it used or returned to the pool and can be reused by a different clusters. Okay, so all these things we discussed. Let me move on. Computational management. So we need to focus on Databricks content. So set up core components that run on the clusters managed by Databricks. So we have Databricks runtimes for general purpose. If you have any machine learning code, if you want to execute, you have to use Databricks runtime for machine learning. Databricks runtime for genomics, we have to use for biomedical data. Databricks Lite you have to use when you are not worrying about performance and auto scaling and reliability. And you cannot execute our notebooks on Databricks Lite. Okay, you can see example. Okay, here you can see, if you want to create a pools, you have to create pools. So if you want to create all-purpose cluster, you have to say create cluster. Job cluster, even if you move to job cluster, those clusters you will not be able to create. But you can see all the clusters it has created while it is executing the job. Okay, while our Databricks is executing jobs, right, as per the schedule, it is going to create job clusters. Once the job is executed, it is going to terminate. So all those job clusters which it has created and terminated, all that list of job clusters will be available in this job clusters tab. Okay, clear on these things? Any questions till here? Let me go to next one. Model management. So we know, right? So if you want to train any model, we need a model. Then we need to run this particular model by passing different values, parameters, metrics, and tags. Then once we have trained this model, that entire flow we need to save it as an experiment. Okay, this experiment we can download and we can run it for all the dependencies, and that flow we can download and we can run anywhere. Okay, don't worry if you are not able to understand. Model management, you can see I have created this particular model, but we don't have any jobs to, like, we don't have any model to train. Next, so jobs, you can see Cloud Pandit demo model. I just try to create, but we don't have any models to run it. Okay, next let's go to jobs. Job is a non-interactive mechanism for running a notebook or library either immediately or on scheduled basis. Example, if you want to run your Python file, or you have jar file, we have notebook. So if you want to run entire code which we have in these different files, you can schedule those notebooks, or you can run those notebooks immediately by using a jobs tab. By using jobs tab, you can run that particular files immediately, or you can schedule those notebooks when to run. Example, daily 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. IST, or something like that. You can schedule it. See, example, I just created one job, Cloud Pandit job. You can see one and Cloud Pandit at the rate outlook.com. So job is actually running currently. See, successfully started run of job Cloud Pandit iPhone job. Something like this. If you want to create any jobs, we are going to create it. Next, search. So search to find something like folder or notebook. Suppose you are searching for something, some notebook, you have lot of folders, lot of notebooks. So it is very difficult to find a particular notebook. Your friend told you need some code which is written by your friend. Okay, but you need to find his notebook. How will you find in real time? So they will tell just to find my notebook. My notebook name is something like this. How will find this? You'll have a something last option called search. Okay, in this search you can able to give that name. It will display with that name whatever folders, notebooks are available. It will display. See, this is notebook, so these are the folders, users, all those things. Okay, whatever is matched with the word which you're typing here, so all those things it will display. So as per whatever you are looking, you can click on those things. Okay, that's all, friends. Any questions here? Can I move on? Okay, let's go here. Okay, we are here. Now let me go back to Azure portal. Let's click on this. Let's click on all resources. Okay, all resources you are able to see. Okay, only 5. Now I am going to launch like I am going to create a cluster. So as I said, this is my dashboard. Okay, so you will see here common task, recently accessed the files. We just created that, so it is not showing any recently open things. If you want something documentation, release note, or getting started with the Databricks, some samples if you want, you can go through these things. If you want to create a blank notebook, or if you want to import some data, click on import data. So it will tell browse it. It will take you to your local data. Okay, so something like that you can able to do. Next, if you want some quick note, a quick start tutorial, example, you want some sample notebook for learning, just to click on this. So it will give you some sample notebook for you. See, quick start notebook, Databricks in 5 minutes, quick start notebook. It is going to give you some things for your learning. Okay, next, let's go back. So these are the things which we have in our dashboard. Next, click on home. So home means, see, exactly under Cloud Pandit at the rate outlook.com, whatever is there, it is going to show under this user, whatever notebooks are available, that you can able to see. If you click on workspace, workspace is what means basically, see, workspace means this one, a shared users, everything will be available. If you want to create a other folders here, you can able to create those folders. Example, I want to create some folder here. Okay, click node. Oh, sorry, I don't want to create a notebook. I want to create a folder. Okay, how to create? You can say folder. So you can say Devendra. Example, I am just giving Devendra. Okay, create folder. So folder is created with his name. Folder is created. Whatever notebooks you want to save, all those things you can maintain in this particular folder. Or when he logged in, automatically for Devendra, his mail ID, with his mail ID, there will be one folder. Okay, so in that folder you can store all his notebooks. Next, click on recency. Recently accessed notebook. We just clicked on quick start notebook, so that we have access. That's why it is showing here. Next, click on data. So in this particular data, we don't have any database. Database will be created when you create a cluster. Okay, default database it will create. Later, if you want to create our own database from the code, we need to create our own database. So in particular database, if you want to create a tables, all those things we need to do it from our code. Click on clusters. As we discussed, you can create your all-purpose cluster. You can see job cluster. You don't have options to create, because job cluster will not created by job cluster will be created by Databricks scheduler. Pools. If you want to create a pool, you have an option directly. You can create the pool. Next, click on jobs. So if you want to create a job, you have an option to create the job. Next, models. If you want to create any model, so we can able to create model and we can train our experiments, our models. Okay, basically. So currently we don't have any model. Leave them. Search. I want to search for our notebook. See, quick start notebook. Example, I want to search for Devendra. See, so with Devendra, folder is available. It is going to display all those things here. Clear? If you want to log out of this account, you just click on this. You can see log out option. Okay, remaining things we will look into those options later. But these are the high level options which we have. Okay, so anybody wants to know anything else in this particular Databricks workspace? Anything, friends? Okay, now let me go to clusters. Click on clusters. Create cluster. Okay, let's click on create cluster. First thing I wanted to show you before explaining all these things. Can you see here? You are not able to see you are not able to see something called genomics Databricks runtime, right? So that is important. Whenever we want to process our biomedical data, we need that particular runtime, but that runtime is not available. So how to get that runtime is click on this, click on admin console. Okay, go to advanced. You can see Databricks runtime for genomics. It's disabled. I need to enable this. Click on enable. Okay, genomics is enabled. You must refresh the page for this change to take effect. Click on this to refresh this entire page. Now just click on clusters once again. Click on create cluster. Now you can see the Databricks runtime genomics came, right? See, previously it was not there, but it's available now. Okay, so something like that you need to get the runtime. Now first thing is cluster name. My cluster name is Cloud Pandit Demo. Next you have cluster mode. So it's very important in interview also. People may ask what are the different cluster modes. One is high concurrency, standard. These are the two important, and these are the two options which we have since long time. But recently one more mode they have added, that is single node. What is the difference between these three? High concurrency cluster mode you need to use when you want to execute a multiple queries parallelly. Okay, when you are executing multiple queries parallelly, you need to get the highest performance. For that, you need to go with high concurrency cluster mode. If you go with the standard, you will get a standard performance. Example, you want when you want to execute a multiple queries or multiple notebooks serially, one by one by one, then you need to go for standard. Single node means it's you are not going to get worker nodes, driver nodes, all those things. You will have a single node which will perform all those things. But if you select high concurrency, see, you have a worker nodes, driver nodes. Next, if you click on something called standard, we'll have a worker types and the driver types. What is this worker types and the driver types? We just discussed a little bit about these things. Okay, so driver is kind of a manager who will assign a task to workers. Workers will execute that task and return the result back to driver. Okay, now how many workers you need, how many drivers you need, that you can put it here. Okay, so let's go with the standard for us. Next, pool is currently I'm not using pool, but we know about pool, right? If you are maintaining some servers in a pool, when you create cluster directly servers, you can get it from the pool instead of going into instance provider and ask the instances. You can maintain instances in the pool. When you are creating a cluster, you can ask a cluster to pick the servers from the pool, but currently I'm not using pool. Okay, we will come back to that later. Next, we have genomics, all those things. Machine learning environment, if you want, you can select this. If you want genomics, you can click on this. If you want normal one, you can click on 7.2. Let's go with 7.2 runtime. Okay, so now as we have seen a few options, right, to save cost in particular Azure Databricks. One is auto scaling. Second one is terminate. Okay, so auto scaling you are going to enable when you are going to enable auto scaling. So I don't know how much data I'm going to process. So I need to maintain the minimum number of worker nodes, and I want to maintain a maximum number of worker nodes. So minimum number of worker nodes I'm going to maintain to maximum is 8. So now what happens when you're trying to process small data, it will use only 2. When you are trying to process big data, maximum servers, it will take example some 1 terabyte of data you are trying to process, then it will take total 8 servers. Okay, next, terminate after 120 minutes. See, one more thing, if you disable auto scaling, it will ask the fixed number. There won't be minimum maximum. Always it is going to maintain the fixed number of workers. Okay, something, whatever number you want to give, you can give. But currently I'm going to give 0 worker nodes, and I'm going to take only driver type. What happens in this case is driver itself is going to receive the task, and driver will execute code, and it will return result back to the user. Okay, everything will be done by your driver now, because you don't have any workers. I'm taking 0 workers. Why I'm taking 0 workers here? Because when you are in a free tier subscription, you cannot take more than 1 server. That's why I'm maintaining 0 workers. Okay, but in upcoming sessions, we will see with pay as you go, we will create multiple multiple nodes. Okay, we will try to maintain a more worker nodes as well. Next, terminate after 120 minutes of inactivity. Example, you don't want to run this cluster when people are not using it. How you will know people are not using? So you are going to wait for 15 minutes. Example, you are going to wait for 15 minutes, and you will see if you're not receiving any task to execute, then this particular cluster is inactive since last 15 minutes. As you have configured 15 minutes, this will be terminated. Example, you want to wait for 30 minutes and see whether anybody is going to submit job or not. So wait for 30 minutes. If nobody is submitting job, terminate it. So this is a cluster inactive time. Okay, this much time cluster will wait, and within this time, if nobody is going to submit job, this cluster will be terminated. So that's how by using these two options, you can save the cost, you can save the price in our Azure Databricks. Okay, now click on advanced options. Here,
Malaya, I have one small question here. So if the VMs are in instance pool, so if it cluster terminates, the VMs will get shut down or not?
VMs are not going to shut down. VMs are going to run. Okay.
Okay,
So if
VMs
you
will run.
want,
So if we
wait, if you want to shut down those instances from the pool, in the pool you are going to configure those things. Okay, again you will have a configurations in the pool if you are using pool. If you're not using pool, if the cluster is terminated, automatically servers will be shut down. Okay, clear?
yeah.
Okay. So here, if you have any Spark configurations, those things you can put here. If you have any environment variables, you can put here. If you have any tags, see, basically it will create these 3 tags, and the cluster ID tag will be created when you click on this create cluster, because cluster ID it will get once you click on this particular option. Now, apart from these 4, if you want to maintain few more things, example, created by, okay, cloud funded, something like this, you can add those extra tags. Logging. So whatever cluster logs you have, those logs, if you want to store it in Databricks file system, that is in this particular data tab, so you can mention in which folder you want to maintain. So that particular folder, if you want to give, you can give. Okay, next, click on init. So currently I don't want to save all these things fastly. Next, init script. So before you execute any code, you want to install some modules. So all those module list, you can put it in a file. That file you can upload in Databricks file system. Okay, that particular file you are maintaining in Databricks file system, that file path you need to mention here, so that first it will look into this particular file, it will execute like it will install all the modules which are mentioned in that file, and then it will execute our actual code. Okay, clear? Any questions, friends? I'm going to submit create cluster. So if anybody have any questions, let me know. Devendra, are you clear? Devashish, Manohar. Okay, so let me just click on create cluster. So when you create a cluster, how many servers you are trying to create here? Can you tell me how many servers you are trying to create here, please? Oh, very good. So only one server. So when it is going to launch one virtual machine, so when you are creating virtual machines, again you need something called disk. Okay, OS disk and normal disk. So it is going to create different disks and all those things you will able to see. See something network interface it's created, and a public IP address it's created for your virtual machine. See disk it's created, container root volume and scratch volume. Okay, but ultimately everything is disk. The virtual machine. Okay, it's created virtual machine. So now go here, virtual machines, and check status. Status is basically it's saying it's running. Okay, so now come to Databricks. So cluster is still creating because it is going to initiate multiple things, right? Not only virtual machine, backend things for virtual machine, whatever is required. So all those things it is going to set up. Okay. Now, once the cluster is up, we can see how we can create a different kind of notebooks and how we can execute on this particular cluster.
Have same standard, same worker and driver nodes, or config, or different? How is it?
I did not get your question.
All right. So in real life situations, in real time
Okay,
projects,
okay. Real-time
worker type
projects.
and driver type, should the configuration be same or is it different?
So that you need to understand. See, multiple worker nodes are going to return a values. Example, you have 3 worker nodes. So all those things we are going to cover practically. So, but for you, I am just giving you some idea. So example, you are maintaining 3 worker nodes, 1 driver you have, and each worker is going to return some example. Let's consider some 8 GB. Okay, so now if let's imagine you have created 1 driver node and 3 worker nodes. All the configuration of driver and workers are same. Okay, now worker can able to send 4 GB of data to driver, because ultimately once worker is executed the code and all the returned values it is going to return to driver. So when you execute some actions, all the returned value, that output values, it will return to driver. Now each worker is going to send a 4 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB. Total how much it is going to receive driver? Can you tell me how much driver is going to receive?
Well,
12. So, but what is the size of your driver?
4.
8. We discussed 8. But basically, workers and driver, all the server size is 8 GB. But workers are sending only of like 4 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB. Now, if you combine all these, you are getting a 12 GB of data, but your driver can able to take only up to 8 GB. Now you are going to get a out of memory exceptions. So you need to think of all these things. Based on this, what we are going to have is always we are going to maintain a high configurations for your driver node compared to worker nodes. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Got it,
Yeah.
right? Fine.
Thanks. Yeah.
No problem. So now So different ways you can create the notebook. Okay, let's go and create a notebook from this dashboard. Click on new notebook today. Okay, we will see folder organizing the folders and creating notebooks inside folders, all those things. But today, with the simple options, we will create the notebook. Let me create a new notebook. Okay, click on new notebook. So this is my Cloud Pandit hyphen. You can say what you can do is Python demo. Cloud Pandit Python demo. This is my Python notebook. Okay. So see, these are the different languages it will support. On this particular cluster, I'm executing this code. You can click create. Okay, these are the notebook is nothing but a series of cells. So this is the one cell. You can write code here. Okay, you can say this is cell 1. Okay, so you can open one more cell. You can say equal to 10. Okay, you can say here, you can ask what is the data type of this particular A. So all example, I want to execute this particular cell, you can click on this, click on run cell. If you want to execute this, you can click on this, click on run cell. If you want to execute this, you can click on this, click on run cell. But you have a lot of shortcuts. So all those things we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. But this is basically a Python notebook. You need to create Python notebook, something like this, and you can execute it. Suppose if I want to delete some cell, you can delete it. Click on this, delete it. If I want to add cells between two cells, these two cells, in between these two cells, I want to initiate one more cell, you can create it. Okay, you want to create a cell first, you can create it. All those things are possible. Example, here I am saying name equal to Ramakrishna. I want to understand type of name. You can see it's a, what is this? We need to execute this first cell. Yeah, sorry, I was using shortcuts by mistake. You can see run cell. So it's executed. Now click on this, and you can say run cell. So it is going to say str. Str is nothing but a string in Python. So this is how you need to execute code in notebooks. Notebook is nothing but a series of cells. The maximum number of cells we recommend is 100 cells. Okay, don't maintain more than 100 cells per notebook. It will it will create some problem. Okay, it will get stuck while you are opening, and all those things you will have issues. Okay, that is one thing. Next, click on notebook. Now we will see how to uh, create a new notebook. Example, I want to create my Scala notebook. So this is, you can say Cloud Pandit Scala demo. Okay, so I want to create a Scala notebook. Just to change the language, I want to run Scala code on same cluster. Create it. So this is basically what Scala code. Scala means not something like this. It will throw error because it is allowed only in Python. But in Scala, before you declare any variable, you have to tell whether it's a mutable or immutable. If it is immutable, you have to say where. Where means immutable. Immutable, how you know immutable? So if you are assigning a equal to 50, you are changing the a value now, it will allow. Next, suppose I am just declaring immutable. Okay, it will not allow change. Example, b equal to 40 I am giving. Next, I will change the b value. See, it will not allow. B equal to 100. So it will not allow. It will throw error. Reassigning to value is not possible because it's a immutable. Once you declare value for these kind of variables, immutable variables, you cannot reassign a new value to them. Okay, this is a scalar code. You can see. Okay, where. Now I want to know the type of this particular A. Okay, so you can see your where A equal to 10, you have A equal to 50. Now I want to access A value first. You can access it. Sorry, friends, I was just using shortcut because by mistake. You can click on run cell. Okay, but the shortcut I will tell you because it's very important. I usually use shortcuts. Okay, so A equal to, you see here 50 came. Now I want to understand the type of A, then you have to say type A. The shortcut is, see, shortcuts you can say control enter. Okay. What it is saying? It is throwing error. Why it is throwing error? A is fine. Type of A. Sorry. You no need to ask type, right? Because by default it is saying it's int. Okay. Now, if you want to convert the type this a to a is basically it is saying int. Now I want to convert into string. Then you have to say a dot to string. I want to convert into string. This will be b. I will assign after converting into a. After converting a value is basically int. This value when I convert into string, I want to display. I can display. What is happening? Oh shit. So understood friends, the problem somewhere we are using val. So b value already we declared as val, right? That is the problem. Let's assign to another variable called c. Let's execute it. This should be calculated. What is happening? Oh yeah. You need to tell this particular value also whether it's a mutable or immutable. Now you see it's a basically string. Okay. Don't worry about code and all those things. Basically in Scala, everything you need to mention whether it's a mutable or immutable object. That's why confusion between all these languages. But ultimately you need to understand, you need to create a Scala notebook, something like this, and you have to explain. Now let's click on this, create it like SQL notebook. Just select SQL and you can say 5 more minutes, friends. Cloud Pandit iPhone demo. Okay, on this cluster, I want to explain. So I want to rename this notebook. By mistake, I have given this name. Click on this. You can say SQL demo. All the options which are available on this notebook, we are going to discuss tomorrow. Okay. So, but if you want to rename, you have to click on this to rename this notebook. I rename. Now I want to execute SQL code. Example, I want to say current date. I want to get it. So there is a function to get to give the current date. Okay, next. You can select example. I want to hard code my value Ram Krishna as name, or you can say Azure Databricks as course name. Okay, you can execute these particular cells and just executing. So how I am executing? Just I am using Shift Enter or Control Enter. You can use any of that. Both you can use. Okay. See, this is the running command. Once it ran, then this command will execute. That's why it is saying waiting to run. Why it is waiting? Because node in a notebook, cells are these are the different cells. So cells will execute serially. First it will execute first cell. Once the execution is finished, then it will execute this one. Okay, once this is done, then it will execute subsequent cells. Okay, let's wait for some time. What happened? Cluster is okay. Okay, let me just stop this because some of the things will not work in our Azure Databricks as we are in a Azure. We are using a free tier subscription. Okay, but you should be able to execute all those things in our. If you have any pay as you go Azure, like if you have any Databricks Community Edition, or if you have a pay as you go subscription, you should be able to execute all these things. So fine, then you can cancel it because these things will not execute in a Azure Databricks if you are using free tier subscription. Okay. Now just click on this. Let me create a new notebook that is for R language. Click on R. You just have to say Cloud Pandit R demo. Just to create it. So here you need to put example here also. I want to assign some variables a equal to 10. Execute it. So it's executed. Now I want to access a value. You can. So if you want to know the type of this particular variable, you have to use class in this R language. It's numeric. Now I want to convert this numeric to integer. Then you have to use as dot integer of A. A I want to convert into B. Sorry. So A is basically numeric. This A value numeric I am converting integer. So once I convert into integer, that result I am assigning to B. Now if you ask B, class of B, it is going to give you integer. So it's going to give you integer. So something like this, you can do it in a R. Okay, you can use these notebooks for writing your R code. Okay, so next in upcoming sessions we will see how we can execute multiple languages code in a same notebook. Example, I have R language notebook, R notebook. In this notebook, I want to execute Python code. I want to execute Scala notebook. For that, we need to use magic commands. We will see those all things in the upcoming sessions. Okay, any questions here? Okay, but if you want to learn, okay, you just try to use Databricks community, and if you want to explore few things, you can come here. Okay, if you want to explore most of the things, you need to go with pay as you go, friends, because if you use free trial subscription, and most of the things will not work. Example, now you have seen in, see here in recent tabs, all those things it will show. If you go to SQL demo, we have seen these two queries were not executing. Okay, so these queries will not execute in Azure Databricks if you have created this particular workspace with free tier subscription. Even you cannot, it will not work reading a file, and all those script will not execute. Okay, if you have created Databricks workspace with free tier, all those code you cannot execute. Most of the code, example, reading a file or writing a file, anything you cannot able to do. Simple things, simple Python code or something you can able to do. Scala code, simple variable declaration and defining some functions, small things you can able to do. Okay, but if you have created Databricks workspace with pay as you go, then you can able to do everything. So those things anyhow we are going to see. Okay, I'm going to show you how we can do all these things with pay as you go subscription. Any questions, friends? If you don't have any questions, that's all for today from my end.
Yeah, Malay, I have one small question. Like, how exactly different between Jupyter Notebook and this Azure Notebook?
There is no difference. Both are IPython only, interactive Python code.
So we can call
this
this as a Jupyter also, right?
You can import Jupyter Notebook here and you can execute it. Okay. Same, this notebook you can export as a Jupyter extension. What happened? This is SQL, right? But if you let me go to Python or Scala, let me go to Python. See this Python file, you can able to execute as a IPython notebook, meaning so Jupyter Notebook extension. You can see IPYNB. Same this you can import into your Jupyter. You can execute it, or if you have exported that Jupyter notebook, you can import here and execute it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If no questions, thank you all.